Hello my friends, welcome back to Demo Supposition. Steam's NextFest is a big event that happens 3 times a year, where game developers put out demos to showcase their upcoming games, or in the case of some of the games I played this year, put out literal asset flip game demos. While this is marginally better than a game that was produced using a generative large language model, they are still in the realm of not great. From RTS to RPG, from adventure to horror, this year had a lot of fantastic games for Summer NextFest. Gobi! And a lot of people throwing demos out for games that may end up not releasing. I went a little overboard this time, and chose 22 demos to play and check out. And while I got through all of them, some were absolute slogs, or just either uninteresting, or just plain bad. However, keep in mind that the ratings are meant to be humorous and in touch with the games they are for. Each game in this list is a recommended checkout, where you should at least either give it a shot, if the demo lasts past NextFest, or keep an eye out for more information. Some of these games don't have definitive release dates, but that should not stop you from showing your support to these fantastic indie devs. Without further ado, let's get stuck in, lads. This one was not something I had expected to come out. The developers had stated they did not want to put out a demo, but then they announced a demo for Summer NextFest of 2026, and I knew I had to play it. Now, there is a lot that's just constant reminders of games I've played, such as the Auto Factory build from a lot of older RTS games I've played, including Dawn of War, the power plant, and construction cranes, which feel inspired near directly from the Brotherhood of Nod from Command & Conquer 3 Tiberium Wars. And of course the MCV is that's just Command & Conquer. But what the game has is a very fantastic and cohesive art style, a lot of functional mechanics, and while it is not as clear, APCs can have both squads fire out, which means loading them up with 2 AT squads means you can kick ass and chew bubblegum, especially if you're out of gum. But the best part are these bad boys, the Dreadnoughts. These are massive artillery tanks that can be deployed and nearly triple their range. Combine these with a spotter within their range, or combine them with a radar tower, as I did, and some poor sod's about to have a horrible, terrible, no good, very bad day. And that sound. I don't think I've ever had quite a reaction like that to a piece of artillery, and I was in the artillery. If you've ever heard an M777 howitzer fire, it's like that. That sound is just so... yes. But yeah, the controls are responsive, the UI, once you figure things out, is fairly good and intuitive. And while I did play as the not-Soviets, look, if you're gonna have a BTR like that, that's Cold War Soviets, and nothing can change my mind. There were a few times where the audio cut out, especially for the construction complete voice for the not-Soviets. Your controls are your standard RTS fare, but that means you can sink your teeth into it pretty quick. With the upcoming features planned for the full release, including a persistent dynamic global map for the campaign, things can be make or break depending on how well that's handled. Despite any misgivings I might have, the game runs really well. It has a beautiful, gritty, industrial look and is definitely on my list for what I want to see in RTS games going forward. My rating for the Dustfront demo is a radar scan out of the insane range of Dreadnoughts. Keep an eye out and watch for release day. I'm definitely thinking of picking it up. I just Hope for other voice localizations than just generic Russian man number 58. Dustfront does not have a definitive release date yet. God, I love games like this. Real-time strategic conquest with tactical battles with a lot of character. Now, I say this with knowing that the crew in this uses one of those low-poly character packs off of an asset store. But this isn't your standard sort of asset flip. Sure, a few games out there might be pure asset flips in styles like this, but if you just do a generic game and call it finished, you're not Legacy of Sail. This not only has decently fun controls and tactical gameplay, but you can turn on a gun camera and see from the deck of your ships as you unload a broadside into their side. And you can steal ships. Seriously, you crash into them or they crash into you, and a boarding action sometimes occurs. It is a weirdly visceral and satisfying feeling when your soldiers fight through and you get that special screen of steal or sink the enemy ship. I'm a gremlin. I love loot. Give me my shinies. Yes, I stole every boat I could, unless for some reason the ship just exploded. I think I hit the patter on that one. Yeesh. The actual strategic layer feels more like a put ship here, capture zone for resupply domination map, like you're playing domination in one of the older Call of Duty games. Except you're the British fighting the Spanish, or the British fighting the pirates. I would love a longer, more strategic game with the ability to fully repair ships or even build new ships and such, and just more on the strategic layer. Victory conditions are either capture all the capitals or, well, do what I did and steal or destroy all of their ships. Theft is a very easy way to end your game fast. Now, talking about tactical, you have your three main ships: your ship of the line, your frigate, and your corvette. Line ships are huge lumbering behemoths of timber and sail, and while they don't hold that many cannon, they can take a hit. Frigates are your main brawler ships with a massive broadside, while corvettes are your screening ships. The computer seems to enjoy attacking corvettes before line ships and frigates, which means they get pummeled hard by every other ship you have. Of course, you can bug it out and end up getting a boarding action on two ships at the same time. Technically. Fun way to end a tactical combat. Regardless though, you will have fun with what's available, and while the game can go pretty quickly, you can eventually steal loot and pillage your Weasley black guts out like your average member of the East India Trading Company, politely persuading the Chinese to buy their opium. I'm not wrong, look it up. My rating for Legacy of Sail's demo is a ship of the line, out of my constant need for theft of enemy vessels.
Give me your ship!
Wait for more to be added, but if you're thinking of supporting the project, consider wishlisting it and keeping an eye on it to see how it expands. Legacy of Sail goes fully live on July 30th. How do I begin to explain this game besides its co-op Jumanji? There's chess pieces that chase you, a crocodile that will eat you whole.
Did it just eat bomb? No, bomb's gone. Bomb's been eaten.
And you can speak from your corpse while inside it, sounding a little muffled.
Oh. That was
Yeah,
close.
no, they ate my ass, bro.
And dice galore that can help or hinder you. I played this game with my friends Bomb Takum and Delta Leo. Bomb, if you remember, was my compatriot with Myrmidon on the last NextFest video. And Leo is another decent compatriot and a new addition to the network. But none of us were quite expecting the atmosphere, nor the oppressive feeling that the sound work evoked in all of us. I don't usually swear when live on Twitch doing these, but Invokyr made it really hard not to.
What son of a...
You start by rolling dice and going a certain number of spaces on the Invokyr board. The manner will then change, and the resulting change in the cursed manner shows the new room, plus enemies and or problems you need to work around while fighting through, all while grabbing golden idols and surviving. We only encountered around about 5 of what I think might be possible for these idols, but these are the Spider, Flamer, Inverted, Mirror, and Blind. Spider idols grow legs and run away from you, indicative by, of course, spider legs and white gem eyes. Flamer idols take minor control from you and spin you in a circle while their eyes spew devastating flame, shown by flaming orange gem eyes. The best offensive idol for dealing with some of the enemies you might come across in Invokyr. Inverted idols swap your controls around, so W is S, A is D, and your mouse is reversed. Sprint and crouch are also swapped around, but jump is not changed. A fact that both Leo and I painfully became aware of when we fell to our deaths. Yeah, always make sure you know if it's good. Mirror is the weird one, as it literally flips your entire world. While in Mirror, it does seem both enemies and allies can't exactly see you, and you also cannot communicate.
Oh, flips it.
It is a very good idol if you need a quick escape. Blind is what it says on the tin. It blinds you so that you're far more reliant on your unfortunate college colleagues to lead you out in their very smart sweaters. Grabbing idols is only one part of getting through puzzles. There are ones where you have to stack boxes to play the most dangerous game of the floor is lava, but you better make sure your team isn't the sort to panic easily when we see a floor filled with lava. I have to point this out. The physics for stacking the boxes suck. They legitimately do. We didn't panic. We were angry.
Yeah, don't expect us to do any engineering challenges.
For what it is, the game is very smooth. It's atmospheric as hell, and I almost forgot the dice. There are 5 dice currently available in the demo. Heal, Resurrect, Bound, Fire, and Teleport. Heal will heal all players and resurrect bodies in a small area around the die, as long as you don't roll the skull.
Let's go practice medicine.
Resurrect will randomly select one person to revive, and from the description it gives, it revives no matter the distance.
Oh no.
As long as you don't roll the skull.
No.
Starting to see a pattern here. Bound will bind everything in a small area around it in sticky webs. As long as you don't roll the skull.
Oh yeah, a great throw.
Yeah, pretty much every single one is like this. Fire creates a pool of fire that will both damage you and any enemies caught in the unfortunate blaze. And say it with me, as long as you don't roll the skull.
Oh, my.
Teleport was the one we never got to actually use, but as far as we're aware, it teleports you like a Minecraft Ender Pearl. As long as you roll a success and not a skull. There are 2 other dice you can get, specifically through recovery of the golden idols, and those are the Cursed and Blessed dies. Cursed, of course, curses you, but it is risk-reward, as on the die are 3 faces that are all 6 spaces, elevating it to make or break. If you roll the curse, however, your team is cursed with a random debuff. I'm sure there's quite a few, but the one we got meant that when any of us took damage, we all took the same damage. It took me first, then took the Muppet who runs headfirst in danger next, followed by, well, Leo. Blessed apparently is supposed to give you a good buff, but we never ended up rolling anything good on it except moving spaces, so we had no idea. However, despite our failures, we did manage to beat the game. And like the movie of its inspiration, you finish the game by shouting the name of the game, in this case Invokyr, and then you grab the board game and run for your life. However, this is also where you learn it's not the only Invokyr game in existence.
Invokyr.
Do I recommend this? Oh hell yes. Grab 4 friends and get your scary on. My rating for Invokyr is that chunky, crunchy crocodile out of a birdcage weeping angel, because those birdcage wheelie angels do not make me happy. And that's a good thing. Get your friends, and hope you can stack boxes faster than we did, survive, and find out what the secret of the Haunted Manor is. There is no definitive release date yet for Invokyr. How do you mix the art styles of Warcraft 3, Dawn of War, and StarCraft? How about throwing in both the Terran and Protoss motifs from StarCraft 2 as well? Well, that's how you get Liquidation, at least in my opinion. A blend of mechanics from various games, such as the separation of infantry and vehicle limits into population and maintenance like Dawn of War, where population is all your infantry-based units, including workers, and maintenance is all of your vehicles, with the hero mechanics of Warcraft 3, where you have creep in various ways to level up your heroes until they can almost take on entire armies by themselves. We start with the campaign, which of course is where I started myself. You are Dominus and Shira, 2 generals of the Crusade. After an event known as the Splintering, where the world splintered. I don't know. Crystals came rising up from the ground, and now we got tech frogs, assassin snakes, and Elvira-level sexy-voiced demons.
Are you going to order me? I'm already there.
Seriously, it's criminal how smooth Noxus's voice is. Anyways, though, you start with suppressing local revolt and rebellion by bringing warring warlords into the fold. 3 bases exist that, should you claim their warlord's head, will offer up fealty to you. In the form of, alright, we work for you, just don't kill us. Following up with that, you take the fight to remnants of the Zelfam Empire, after reorganizing the Crusade into the Twilight Crusade, and Dominus and Shira declaring themselves king and queen. And yes, they are siblings. It's a little Habsburg in here, huh? Anyways, you discover the amphibian and reptilian menace known as the Scourge Alliance, who are, well, if you mix the orcs and murlocs from Warcraft with the Skaven from Warhammer and the Covenant from Halo. Seriously, they have a scarab tank. Don't tell me that's not just a Halo scarab. But with only 2 missions in the demo, you're more likely to end up with the skirmish, and thanks to a demo update, the online multiplayer. With my compatriot Delta Leo, I recorded and he streamed 3 separate team versus team matches between ourselves and bot players. My goal was to try out each of the factions and figure out what each plays like. Here's a little short breakdown. The Crusade is your Terran meets Protoss meets Imperium of Man faction-ish. They've got a lot of human from Warcraft 2 and 3 in there, and especially the engineer literally quotes the engineer from Dawn of War.
I'm thinking
Are you in need of
the
my
audio
unparalleled expertise?
They've even got that giant shoulder pauldron thing that both Warhammer 40k and Warcraft and StarCraft do. Why does everyone have giant pauldrons? You've got decent all-rounders with your Crusader with the sword and shield, or the Crusader with axe. The Rifleman with a rifle or sniper rifle. And the Royal Guard, who gets an honest-to-God railgun. Their vehicles are the Venator.
Oh my god, what is this thing? That is such a big gun.
The Obliterator.
Oh my god.
We have the Iron Nest.
And the Gladiator. While their specialist units are the Savant, the Judicator, and the Assassin. To be frank, neither of us used the Assassin as it felt like it had too niche a property to use against bot players. It probably works wonder in actual PvP, but when fighting bots, a Venator with a plasma cannon works just fine. They've got that motif, they've got that fun, but you only really need Shira as your hero for victory. With all of that, their modular weaponry allows them to cover a lot of bases that would regularly be deficient. Like the Gladiator with a pulse cannon and rocket launcher, you've got options. The Legion is, well, if you know the Burning Legion from Warcraft, you know what they're about. They're demons in both body and spirit, and have some of the most fun regular units. Now, they're workers. The husks do just growl at you, like the old burger in SpongeBob. And they have that Protoss meet Zerg vibe, especially with how their quote-unquote power network works. And with a little Demons from Hell vibe from the Doom series. Their biggest unit, the Behemoth, is basically a cyber demon with dragoon legs. Their Juggernaut is an effective screen for everything else, and while their main ranged units, the Hunter and the Devastator, aren't great initially, once you upgrade them properly, they hit like trucks. Couple that with Miss My Voice Makes All the Demons Come to the Yard Noxus,
I'm already there.
who throws a bouncing glaive, you've got a winning combo. Very fun to play, and Behemoths tear through everything. The Scourge Alliance are by far my actual personal favorite, with their Skaven meets Mr. Frog motif and design. It's like Yordle Science from League of Legends got a little too much Orc and Skaven into their mix and came out with that. Plus all the weird parts that feel like the Covenant from Halo. Grunts and Technicians feel very much like an Ungoi/Grunt reference from Halo, with how they speak and look, but their Plasma Pistol feels like a sheer upgrade, and unlike Halo's Grunts, they get an energy shield. The Acolyte is a quick attacking melee Naga/Lamia with poison blades. It stacks poison on enemies, and it allows you to rack up the damage quickly if you have enough of them. But that's not where things shine normally. Instead, it's the heroes and vehicles. The Scourge Alliance gets a nice drone tank that can fire on the move and is decently affordable. They get an artillery beetle, and then they have the Scarab tank. Sure, you have a big melee scorpion thing that just is basically an Ultralisk in cosplay, but you have a Scarab tank with a beam cannon. They're the same thing in my book, and I love it. Then there's the support hero they have, and she's great at healing, but the voice leaves something to be desired. It's a little flat.
What is your wish?
Anyways though, the Scourge Alliance is very fun to play. Why can I give such a glowing recommendation? Most demos would not give an update to fix their multiplayer. I tried loading the servers on day 2 of my NextFest streams and I couldn't get it working. Then the following day, suddenly they have them working, and myself and Leo had a lot of fun. One of the better games on this list. I can tell you that I recommend this for any fan of StarCraft, Warcraft, or just RTS in general, unless you prefer more tactical games like Call to Arms. I have a game right up your alley for that one. My rating for this game is Russian Crusader with an axe out of the insane damage of a Scarab tank and the Elvira level sexy of Noxus.
So the Behemoth.
Liquidation is slated to release later this year. Imagine if someone took Call to Arms Gates of Hell Lost Front, gave it the 2D Age of Empires graphical treatment, and then put it in an engine that can handle hundreds of corpses and vehicle wrecks all at the same time, on screen with no slowdown, almost like the old Cossacks games. That's how you get Panzer Strike, a fantastic 2D RTS built on its own custom engine to be able to get as many units on the field as possible. It's a love letter to old World War II strategy games from the 90s and early 2000s, and I had to physically tell myself to stop playing it, as I could have sat there for hours, trying to figure out how to get around the Soviets in the second mission in the demo scenarios. Their promise is to have as many historically accurate vehicles between the two sides as they can get. Now this means production vehicles, not weird Wunderwaffe that never made it off the drawing board. Though a what-if scenario in this engine would be amazing. Instead, we have one of the more responsive real-time tactics titles I've played in a while. There's not much to say besides the fact that it's like a Command & Conquer game was set historically, and it's just a lot of fun. The time to kill for units might be a little quick. Seriously, an Su-85 and a Zis-6 kill any and all Panzers faster than you can say Pontius Pilate. Which, while potentially historically accurate, also makes it really difficult to complete the single mission you get with the Germans. With the amount of forces you get, you'd think that you get somewhere, but with the fact that historically a Zis-6 uses High-X and APHE, you're going to realize just how unfortunate of a spaceman your forces may seem. That and the DP-28s on everything. Just so many DP-28s. And T-34s. Stalin's 5-year plan in video game form, everyone. This is a fairly standard sort of RTS, though there are some jarring bits, including the rather high frame rate fire that pops up on vehicle wrecks. Not a deal breaker, it's just a little confusing. Regardless, though, this game scratches a particular itch in the back of my head for the types of RTS games I miss, from an age long gone from the eyes of the corporate developer. Instead, we have a small team building a wonderful romp through history, with some of the more accurate line of sight and fog of war I've seen in a long time. It is not easy. It will punish you, and like a lot of contemporaries from the era is showing off, it does actually have a decent tutorial. Also, the Soviets just send so many infantry, and the game never slows down. At all. A lesser game would crash when over 100 units are on screen at once, and that's some 2D RTS games that are older that would die like that, instead of just rendering slower. With how much is possible, I want to see them build a game that will blow away the competition in the best sort of way. My rating for Panzer Strike is the insane amount of units possible on map out of the ridiculous amounts of AT the Soviets get in the big map demonstration. I'm excited for what the future of this holds, and I hope for their future success. Panzer Strike is slated to release later this year. So, for a few people that know me, they know that I did at least serve in the Canadian Armed Forces. My trade, artillery. This game allows me to plot artillery strikes and whatnot, as well as having exact moments of, well, oops.
Alright.
Seriously, 4th mission in the demo, where you're planning to take down some rebel forces, anti-Marxist in the game, you're given 2 pieces of key intel. 1, near the exact location, 2 bearing markers where they meet and show the target. 2, that such targets might be hiding in the civilian populace. Then you load up your coordinates, choose your charge amount, load up an HE, and prepare to put warheads on 4 heads, and suddenly you've got 4 counts of ceasefire civilians and 1 count of target destroyed. In this game,
I don't know about you, but I'd call that a bargain.
Damn good deal.
but yes. Each mission, you're given specific clues to add to your clipboard. Your exact location on map, approximate target area, spotters, and where the targets are located from the spotters, either by range or bearing. You then go to your map, triangulate using the 2 bearing measurements, then measure from the iron nest to the intersection of those 2 lines, and then you smirk and hope you got it right. Next, the calculator, where you input your range, and it spits out an elevation number with the amount of charges you chose. This is important to get right, as too low or too high might result in something exploding too early, or in my case with the starburst shell, going way off target. Next up is actually loading the shell. Almost every mission in the demo will have you using an HE shell for the most part, that is likely measured less in kilograms or tons, but more likely in Buicks. Seriously, that shell could be hollowed out, and you could man-cannon someone to the target. Followed by the shell is the powder charges, where you and get everything lined up. Next is bearing and elevation. Bearing is first, though most times you can set to either side and just let it run while you set elevation. Many times I ended up having to wait for it to spin around and finish well after elevation was ready. Now, should all that be correct, you hit all the ready switches, yank down that lever, and pull the ripcord, and ba-boom!
Fire.
Your round is on its way, and you can watch from the map in the center of the cockpit while you completely miss your target because you misread one specific data point. At least that one wasn't high explosive. Iron Nest is a game of operating on limited information and making sure you can survive as long as possible. Civilian casualties are likely, a ceasefire order is inevitable, and you'll still manage to complete the mission even if the target and his hostages were in the rubble. My rating for the Iron Nest demo is a big pile of powder charges out of the potential of accidentally hitting a civilian target, and a wholehearted full recommendation. Warheads on foreheads, no matter whose forehead it is. Iron Nest is slated to release later this year, potentially in August. If I were to say the phrase dystopian post-apocalyptic hot dog diner, could you picture it? Would you even want to? This is Doomsday Diner, a diner management game where you fill orders, shoot bandits, and say the phrase
raw dog with ketchup
far more times than you'd ever care to admit. Your job is to serve up hot dogs in the specific way the customers order them, from raw dogs with ketchup to pieces of charcoal with mustard and a small coffee. And no, the charcoal dogs do not heal you. Ask me how I know. Ask me, I dare you. Anyways, there are 7 days in the demo, starting with regular dogs with mustard, ketchup, both or none. You hit this convenient button to dispense fresh wieners, to then get slapped on the grill, drop a failed dog or two down to Greg in the basement, and then make sure to take up your complaints with the Human Resources Department to that pipe gun underneath the counter. And once each day is done, you then have to clean up. First, the world's grodiest sponge, though somehow it's still wet. The cleaner your diner at the end of the day, the more likely you'll be getting inundated with orders and more bandits will show up. But you're cleaning tables, drinking coffee, and having a small conversation with Greg in the basement. Second, you'll have to clean up the bandit corpses in the diner. That is where Greg in the basement comes in. Our little red-eyed friend in the pit just loves to be a living garbage disposal, and he especially loves bandit corpses. Though, a question occurs. We don't know where the hot dogs are coming from, and what they're made of, and they squelch an unsettling, nope, not thinking about that. Just make dogs, make coffee, forget to send an order because some idiot wouldn't wait his turn and started shooting at you again.
Sir, wait your turn.
At the end of each day, you get to select perks and upgrades. My two favorite ones are the acid bullets, which makes cleanup easier by occasionally rendering a bandit into a puddle of evaporating goo on the floor, and the sauce hose. Just make sure you remember to swap it to mustard first before you forget. It's a fire hose for the sauce. Sauce hose. The gameplay loop is simple but addictive and has a tendency to draw you in. Of course, half the time when you're getting shot at, you'll glance over and go, hold on, am I being shot at? To which you'll turn around, grab the gun, and pop him in the head, and sigh as you go once more.
Sir, wait your turn.
My rating for this game is a
raw dog with ketchup
out of never knowing how the sausage is made. Doomsday Diner is slated to release on the 23rd of July of this year. How do you hook me into a medieval kingdom builder? Give it an entire logistics network set up between various villages and regions. County of Fortune is a game that takes one of the better approaches to a medieval logistics game compared to some others I've seen attempted. Instead of making it about building medieval workshops everywhere inside of a city, instead you're managing an entire county. You're managing roads, trade, and production throughout every region you create, and you can make some impressive regions at that. Your biggest issue is always going to be some level of construction pre-planning. That is, having to know exactly what special resource you're going to need for the second tier people in your cities. But that's not where you start. Instead, the demo starts off with a decent tutorial, explaining how to at least get up to the point where you can upgrade a city to level 2, or as the game states, into a village from a hamlet. This requires 3 basic foods, 2 equipment items, and a lot of headaches as you attempt to balance the production between all of them. And that's not even beginning to include what happens when you make your first village. For the most part, you have to be planning from the start, unfortunately, or else you have to scramble and build another region to produce the items necessary. Now, unlike what you might be thinking, you do not need to build everything in one region. This is what trade routes are for, and will be the lifeblood of the regions of your county. Trade routes have 2 versions, landborne and waterborne, each with their own benefits and difficulties. To take advantage of waterborne, you require either a raft port or a port, commoner and artisan, or level 2 and 3 respectively, and then you need to set up a trade route between the regions. To take advantage of landborne, you require a market. This is a village-level building which allows two regions to trade across land-based routes. Food is going to be your make or break. Having the food you need for the levels of settlements is important, as it determines how efficient the workers are. That stat, of course, is also affected by various things like soil fertility, a decent mechanic that is just a flat percentage, but your production capability is multiplied by it to create the average, as well as the traits of the mayor. Low food means starvation, low productivity, and the collapse of your entire county. High food means that you're more or less just barely operating at above breaking point, as this game will remind you over and over and over. Mayors are your largest concern, as setting up effective routes will also take your mayors into account. Have a mayor with a good grain multiplier, put them in a buckwheat or rye settlement, and max out the amount of farms you have. Good veggie multiplier, beans, cabbage, turnips, and lentils. Should you find the right multiplier for the settlement, you can then build your settlement to take full advantage of that. Down the line, you will earn mayor upgrade points so that you can at least shore up some of the deficiencies.
We are farmers. Buckwheat.
The biggest thing to come across is the negative modifiers, which are resultant from corrupt mayors. Replace these idiots as soon as possible and make sure that you're shoring up extra production, like alchemical production for making soap. Yes, the game has alchemical production to make bars of soap. What kind of wizardry goes into making the soap? I don't want to ask, but a bonus is a bonus is a bonus.
But only between Ferengi.
All in all, I have had several times where I start playing this game, look over the clock, smile, go back to it, and then look over and 2 hours have passed me by. It is incredibly addictive, and very indicative of the number go up style of automation games. While getting up to level 3 is a lot of work, finally getting up to that level is where the demo fully ends. From the start of a new game to when you finally hit that level, depending on how much effort you put in optimizing your land routes and water routes, can take around 2 hours in total. The game has an impressive difficulty scale, and you will fail your first few runs, but don't despair, my friends, for learning from failure is the spice of this game. Each time you crack the code on something, you are rewarded with more mechanical understanding, like finally understanding that if you have a raft port in a market, you can do land trade between the two regions. You only need the raft port for the heavy materials. Each time you learn, you'll find yourself dragged in more and more, and enjoying each new success and failure, as well as each time you find a way to optimize your understanding. My rating for County of Fortune is 1,000 bushels of buckwheat out of the insane standards of commoners. There's a lot to sink your teeth into, and a lot where you can fail, but when everything slots into place, that feeling of sheer satisfaction is beat by nothing else. County of Fortune is slated to potentially release later this year. How do I explain this game? How do I explain the purple lands? How do I explain the sheer glorious sounds of unsuppressed firearms in a top-down shooter that had no right to hook us as much as it did? You start with the name and the banner. DDoD, which apparently doesn't stand for anything as far as we know for some reason, so we came up with humorous names for it, is not what I expected at all. The main comment from my compatriots was that it reminded them of if the gameplay shown in those mobile ads for games was perfectly accurate. From pistols to shotguns, rifles to submachine guns, grenade molotovs, bait grenades and such, every part of the game slots together and meshes better than any Bethesda title could ever hope to match. And yes, as I've told people before, a central design document is key to making a game feel cohesive.
Hey, you! Newcomer!
You are a volunteer who is attempting to gain access to a bunker and some sort of underground survival camp. You will first notice the visual style, a mix of Tunguska the Visitation, Stalker, and with all the vibes of Diablo 2, and the charm and goofy fun of what feels like a less insane version of Sunset Overdrive or Borderlands 2, in my opinion. However, the biggest thing you'll notice, and what I reminded my cooperative partners about it, is that it is not a zombie apocalypse. Instead, it's a mutant uprising, though the mutants act like zombies-ish. You're given the unenviable task of entering an old military base, clearing it out, finding the submachine gun there, even though by the time we get there, we were rocking double-barrel 12-gauge shotguns and also actual assault rifles, too, though we end up giving the AR duty to Crimson, while Leo and I kept with the shotguns. There's mutant spiders, dogs, people, and whatever that thing is.
Oh, why does that thing shoot it?
There's uber tadpoles, rib cows that emit fire in a zone around them, and snails and whatnot everywhere. Of course, during the demo, you don't get the option to interact with anything besides bog standard mutant spiders, dogs, and people, but from footage available on the Steam page, you eventually get to enter the fog and
Give our old friends a warm welcome.
But while you're fighting through the purple lands, remember that while they may be mutants, some are more armed than you are, and some carry grenades as well. Each weapon has its own ammunition type, from the humble pistols and SMG using the standard 9mm that you'll find a lot of, to the 357 Magnum you pick up randomly, even to the 12-gauge shells of the double barrel, up to some 5.56 rounds for what looks like an HK-416. Regardless, though, you'll be knee-deep in the dead for a while, especially when you're dealing with some of the buildings throughout the Purple Lands. A couple fetch quests exist, namely the radio tower and the SMG quest, but other than that, you're exploring expansive environments, debating about which Cyrillic language is on a fuel tank, and petting a weird bug cat at the end of the demo.
You can pet it!
Once you complete said radio tower quest, you're introduced to the Bunker, an underground camp that has a few vendors that tell you, welcome to the end of the demo, as well as a crafting bench which only does ammo at this time, and a fast travel system that consists of an underground tram. This game is on the side of better with friends. Sure, it probably gets a lot faster with just you and your trusty sidearm, but with friends, you'd explore Chernobyl if you found out it held rare loot. Which, technically, I guess we are, since this is an experimental area with poisons and whatnot that escape containment. Oh my god, it's Chernobyl. While my crew and I are excited for the full release, I do caution you about certain portions. Namely, if you are easily nauseated by blood and viscera, you will not enjoy this game. I'm not personally bothered by it, and once we got to the end, we gushed about how much we loved the game. It is a cooperative game that, as I said earlier, is far better with friends, and feels like it was designed properly for cooperative play in mind, with very little desync, if any at all. My rating for DDoD is the sheer amount of ammunition dropped by mutants.
We're doing the standard the thing like, okay, we've got a box of ammo. You get this, I get this. We're good? We're good. Dude, guys, I have almost 1,000 rounds of 9mm.
Out of the explosive radius of thrown weapons. You'll have an epic blast, but remember, motion blur should never be on by default, and these devs get it. As well as making it good for color vision deficient individuals such as myself. Come on down and let's get it cracking. Our weapons are loaded, and we won't be found lacking. DDoD potentially releases later this year. No confirmations as of yet. Closing out everything we've gone through, with 22 demos down and 9 ones for the wall of recommendeds, this summer NextFest ran the gauntlet from good to decent to bad and everything in between. I would have loved to check out even more titles, but as the time goes, I am only one cyborg and I only have so much time. Some of the demos may still be active, so go ahead and try them out. Thank you for joining me. I've been MrFullCrumb, and as always, have fun, leave sadness behind, and no matter where you go, there you are. See you guys in Autumn NextFest.